Hi, Ambleside friends. I had some interest about what I put in these annual yearbook. These were made at Staples. They were bounded with these coils and the plastic coverings and a backing. And many of you asked, what do we put inside? So I'm going to go through them with you. In previous years, actually, we were able to fit everything into one folder, but this year was the first year where we actually had to split into two different folders, but the contents are essentially the same thing. The first one is basically our pictures of our year together, kind of all the nature walks and field trips that we had. This is mainly for memory keeping purposes. The second section I have are some collection of the kids' kind of awards and their own work that they've done through the year. And then some of the programs of things and places that we've done together. The main folder is where we keep all of our schoolwork that we have done together for the school year. So the first section is the term exams. And again, it's the Ambleside online term exams. Each child has all their term exams included here. That includes the questions and their answers. And I think it's really something special to be able to look back and say, hey, that's what I thought about, the Beatrix Potter book when I was such and such age. Of course, my 0 is not in official lessons yet, but she wanted to just follow along. So I had her tell me some answers, and that's just kind of a doing school with brother. And then I also included term exams for me, mom. I thought that I should do for myself as I do for my children, and this is something we learned from Miss Mason's. So I include also each term my own list of books that I read and all of my favorites of our riches, the artist, composer, poets, hymns, and handicrafts and such. And this is for my own personal growth. After the term, each term has its own exam included here. So this is for term 2, and then this is for term 3. And I put in our favorite artist for the term as kind of the folder or the term title piece. And then after the term exams, I include all the daily lessons that we go through each day. And it's really remarkable that little by little, just 15 minutes at a time, we're able to do so much with our children together. So each term had a checklist. So this was term 1, term 2, and term 3. And then I have a summary of all the riches that we did together for the year, the composers, the music, artist studies, and some of the kind of daily checklists I use for our daily listening. So while we're in the car driving around a lot, I keep track of kind of all the playlists that we play each day as part of our riches. And then the next section is the actual riches. So I include our artists. So each term's artists, the Van Goghs, and all the art prints. We live in DC, so in addition to all the art prints for Van Gogh that is suggested online, we also included all the Van Goghs that we were able to see in person right here in DC. So the Van Gogh section was quite large. And of course, the next section is the Raphaels. And then the third term is the Sargent paintings. After the artists, we have our composer. For our house, we follow a slightly different composer schedule because we have children in music and they perform large repertoire. So we follow along pretty much with the repertoire that they're learning. So our child he played a Haydn concerto, so we study Haydn. He also played jazz, so we study Gershwin. And then Strauss, because my daughter is taking violin, so she studies a lot of Strauss music. And again, my son, who is a jazz pianist, we do also Joplin and then my son is also doing organ, so we studied Albert Schweitzer, the organist. We also did a biography on him because he's really a noteworthy person of one of the Christian missionaries that we really love in our home. So after the art and music, we have all our hymns that we study for the year, and this is mainly based on Ambleside Online. We substitute out hymns here and there for our own family's purposes. Our children perform in our children's choir at church, so we also include some of the hymns that they sing in their own choir. After the hymns, we have our recitations, so our creeds, our psalms. These are full psalms, full sections and passages in the Bible that we've memorized together as a family this year. Then we have our folk songs, These are our family personal favorites. We love the folk songs. We go to the nursing home once a month, and the folk songs is really a crowd favorite. They evoke so much memory for the residents there. It connects the residents to our children. Our children get to hear memories related to these folk songs of the residents, and it's just really a great bridge of the generations for us. After the folk songs, we have these are songs that my children and I just made up together as a family. So I included some of their own compositions that we wrote together this year. Then we have our Vietnamese folk songs. So we learn Vietnamese and Mandarin in our home. So I include all the Vietnamese folk songs that we do together. In this section, I also include the Vietnamese poetry that we do together in our recitation. Then is our Mandarin section. So we do our Mandarin folk songs. And again, our Mandarin poetry recitations. After these are all the Tang Dynasty poems and Qing Dynasty poems that we memorized this year. After that is our English recitation. So this year we studied Romeo and Juliet. So I included Romeo and Juliet, all the passages that we memorized together as a family. Each year, because we're still quite young, year 1 and 0, we only do one Shakespeare play a year. So last year was Midsummer Night's Dream. This year was Romeo and Juliet. So we really get to soak ourselves into the play. So first we would read the condensed version, the kind of picture book versions, and then the Lamb version, and then we would listen to the actual play on Audible. And then we memorize passages from there. After Romeo and Juliet is our poetry. This year we spent a lot of time with Longfellow. We memorized Psalm of Life and some of his other poems. At the end, we also have a taste for next year, Christina Rossetti, so we memorized Caterpillar. And that's essentially what we have for the book for this year. We also included in previous years sections on their core curriculum, like their math and their phonics and such like that. I didn't do that this year only because I was running out of space, and I felt it was more important to include their riches. But in previous years, we've included kind of where they are in their math and phonics. So, for example, they were in CVC words last year, so I included what they learned there. It really changes from year to year, so you can kind of tailor it to your own family's needs. So, for example, the previous years, it was a lot of mathematics work that I included just to remind them where they were, some handwriting that they did, a list of read-alouds that we had in that year. The read-alouds have gotten so long now that I just have given up making lists of read-alouds. I've made lists of field trips, but again, they've gotten so long that I've given up making lists, and just included photos as reminders. In previous years, I've also done kind of a summary of our nature study. So for example, we did a lot of flowers and plants. When we first started doing nature study, we knew nothing. So whatever we learned, I just made a little collection of all the nature study things that we've studied together as just plain observation in the earlier years. So that's kind of a snapshot of these yearbooks. I hope that gives you sparks some ideas for your own home.